Hi, third graders. I'm going to do a read aloud for you. And the purpose of the read aloud is to look a little bit more at some text features. And also, I want to show you how to write a reading journal entry about a nonfiction book where you're talking about the text features. So I'm going to read aloud for just about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to switch over to a Word document and show you how to write a reading journal entry also. Okay, and my hope is that you will be doing IDR at home for at least 30 minutes every day, and that for at least 10 of those minutes, you're reading a nonfiction book. And I'm sending you another collection of nonfiction books through Epic. So if you want to choose one of those for your nonfiction book, that's totally fine. If you have other nonfiction books to read, that's great too. And then the reading journal entry I'd love to get from you by Friday. And it should be about one of the nonfiction books that you read. Okay, so I'm reading a book called Hurricanes by Gail Gibbons. And I'm going to try to move my head here so that you can see the page better. This is a book from Epic that I'm reading. Okay. The winds are howling, the rain is pouring down, violent waves are crashing onto the shore. A dangerous spinning storm has formed over tropical waters. It is a hurricane. So I'm looking at this picture, and the picture is a text feature, and it's just helping me imagine what it must be like when there's a hurricane. Let me go back to that page. That like it's so strong that some trees are even flying around and some shingles from the house are being torn off. And then there's this little pop-up box here that says hurricane comes from huracan, the name for the ancient Mayan. Stop turning the page. Go back. Okay. Sorry about that. Hurricane comes from huracan, the name for the ancient Mayan god of the big winds. Oh, I never knew that. Just taught me something new. All hurricanes form over tropical waters. Warm water evaporates and rises into the atmosphere. The warm, moist air spins upward, creating a draft that sucks up more moisture. If the water temperature is more than 81 degrees Fahrenheit, the cycle continues. Winds get stronger. As the moist air rises, cumulonimbus clouds are formed. Okay, so that was a little bit complicated for me. I don't completely understand what it was saying, so I'm going to make sure to use this diagram here to help me picture the information that I just read. So this says, well, it shows the tropical waters. And then it said warm water evaporates and rises into the atmosphere. So that's what this arrow is showing me here, the warm water rising up. And this little caption here says evaporates means that water turns into moist air. So the warm water is turning into the air here. And then the next sentence said the warm, moist air spins upward, creating a draft that sucks up more moisture. If the water temperature is more than 81 degrees, the cycle continues. Winds get stronger. As the moist air rises, cumulonimbus clouds are formed. So this is showing the warm water turning into air, and then it starts spinning, and the spinning causes even more warm moisture to be evaporated, and it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and turns into these big clouds. Okay. So this diagram really helped me understand and create a picture in my mind of what was happening. Now I'm going to read this page. The rising air, so this is leaving off where we were over here. The rising air creates even more of an updraft. Even more moisture rises, creating even larger cumulonimbus clouds that hold even more water. The spinning of the air accelerates. Even larger groups of cumulonimbus clouds continue to build up. Condensation causes rain. When the speed of the wind reaches 74 miles per hour, the storm is classified as a hurricane. So this says condensation occurs when the moist, warm air cools and turns into rain. Okay, so this diagram is showing like I'm trying to use my hands to show what I picture here with this diagram. All this, ah, it's like a hurricane took control of my epic book. All this warm air and moisture that's rising and rising and rising, and it sucks up more and more and more and holding even more. And then finally it gets so full that the condensation causes it to start to rain. And the wind is, the moist air is causing all this wind that's going so fast and spinning so huge that it is classified as a hurricane. Okay, this diagram is really helping me visualize what those hurricanes are like and how they work. Oh, there's another one over here. Okay. Most hurricanes are about 100 miles to 300 miles wide. The center of a hurricane is called the eye, which is clear and calm. It may be 10 to 20 miles wide. So the eye may be 10 to 20 miles wide. The strongest winds in a hurricane are those closest to the eye of the storm. This area is called the eye wall. Okay, so if this is the hurricane, if you can see where my pointer is here, this is the hurricane. The eye is the center where everything is calm, but then it said the strongest winds are right at the eye wall, which is close to the eye. Interesting. And this diagram again is helping me picture that hurricane. Okay, I'm going to read one more page and then I'll show you how to do a journal entry. Oh, and this page has a map, which is a great text feature. Let's see how this text feature helps me understand what I read. Most hurricanes form over the Atlantic Ocean, north of the equator. They usually last about a week and travel on a course that is very difficult to predict. So this map is showing me what's north of the equator and where hurricanes usually happen. And then these arrows and this map up here must be showing me which direction the hurricanes usually move in. So I know I hear a lot about hurricanes happening in like the southern part of the country, especially in Florida, and that's what this map is showing me too. Okay, so I'm gonna pause my reading there and I'm gonna go open a Microsoft Word document. And I'm going to show you how I'd like you to do a reading journal entry for this week. Any of the words that I put in bold, those are the words that you can use as sentence starters that you can just use in your own reading journal entry to help you write your reading journal entry. Okay, so I'm going to start with a heading that just says reading journal. And then the date, which today is April 26th. 2020. Okay, so I'm always going to start my reading journal entries with the title of the book that I read. So I read, I'm going to underline the title, Hurricanes by Gail, by should be bolded because you always want to say who the author is, Gail Gibbons. Then we always do one sentence of what the book is about. This book is about hurricanes and how they work. Oh, you can't see that because my head is blocking it. Okay. And then you're going to write one sentence about what you read about today, something that you learned today. So today I really learned today about how hurricanes are formed over tropical water that gets really warm and rises, causing a windstorm. Okay, then the last sentence is going to be a description of how one of the text features you used help you understand what you were reading. Kind of similar to the last sentence of your text features hunt from last week. So the first part of my sentence is going to be one text feature I used So actually this is two sentences. The text feature helped me understand what I was reading by, okay, so let me think here. The text feature helped me understand what I was reading by helping me create a picture in my mind of how hurricanes work. Okay, so that's it. That's your reading journal entry. Just like always, you're talking about the title of the book and the author, what the book was about, one sentence of something that you learned, one sentence describing one of the text features, and then the last sentence explaining how that text feature helped you understand what you were reading. And then you'll submit this to me by Friday. All right, good luck. Email me if you have questions. Thanks.